Hello guys, I hope you're fine. In this video we are going to talk about exception handling. Now exception handling is what differentiates C++ from C. Exception handling is not present in C and it's one of the major features of C++, in fact of any object-oriented programming language. So let's see what the slide says about exception handling. It says it's a runtime anomaly or an abnormal condition which a program encounters during execution. A lot of technical words there. Simply, it means when you're running a program and it crashes or it encounters an error, that thing is called as an exception. Now, if you look broadly into it, the exception handling is of two types, or there are two types of exceptions rather. We could have a synchronous exception and we could have an asynchronous exception. Now, an asynchronous exception is one which you cannot control by a program. Your disk may crash, your processor may fail. So these are some asynchronous exceptions. We can't do anything about it. But there are synchronous exceptions as well, something that you can include in your program to prevent the error from happening. This is what synchronous exception is. You look at the advantages of exception handling. So exception handling allows us to write separate error handling code. Error handling code is the code which is going to be invoked when an error occurs, and I can differentiate between normal code and the error handling code, and I can choose which type of exceptions to handle. We will soon look at an example for this. And I can implement exception handling with the help of three keywords. We have try and catch blocks, and I also happen to have a keyword by the name of throw. So as a guideline, as a rule of thumb, anything that might cause an error will be put in a try block. An error condition will be put would be thrown or would be handled with the help of throw, and what needs to be done in response to that error would be carried out with the help of a catch block. We're going to look at an example program. We're going to look at the simplest form of this program. It's going to be called divide by zero exception, right? So I'm going to have a numerator and a denominator, and I'm going to write down a program to divide numerator by denominator. My program would be called divide by zero exception, and you can find the source code on GitHub. I will start by writing hash include iostream using namespace std. So we're going to look at a very simple example. So I declare two integer type variables, num numerator, den denominator. Let's get in the values of numerator and denominator from the console or from the input, and then I will go ahead. I would write down simply cout numerator divided by denominator. Let me put this in parentheses. So simple program. Let's see what happens. So I'm going to simply go ahead and do a G++ on it. G++ divide by zero exception. Quite a long name. .cpp. Got lucky there, no errors. So when I run it, got made a mistake here. ./a.out. Right, so it's asking me to provide input. So I'm saying 4 divided by 2. The answer is 2. Straightforward. I ran it again. 4 divided by 0. Look at what happened. It gave me an error here, floating point exception. Now, if my program crashes like this, it's not going to be a good thing. I would not like to give out a program which has an unexpected behavior. So how do we handle it? We handle it with the help of three keywords: try, block, catch block, and the throw keyword. So what do? Let me declare another variable, result here. Since the division process can lead to an error, I'm going to write down a try block. I'm going to say result is what? Let me calculate the result a little later. Let me write down this statement and we'll call it later. If denominator is equal to 0, this is an error condition, so I would use throw denominator, right? And now I would need to go ahead and display result here. What I also need to do is I need to catch. So since I am throwing an integer, I'll say catch int x, and I will go ahead and I would say divide by 0 exception, right? So what I'm basically saying is that I have numerator, denominator result. If the denominator is equal to 0, throw the denominator. Once you throw the denominator, it will be caught by this block. And what do I want to do? I want to print out a statement here saying divide by 0 exception. So I go ahead and edit it here. Otherwise, I'm just calculating the result and displaying it. Let's check this out. Let me compile it again. Got lucky, no errors. When you run it, I'm getting, because I removed the cin statement, let me just introduce the cin statement again. Cin numerator denominator, and let me clear out, no errors hopefully. 4 2, I'm getting 2 as a result. Let me run it again. 4 0 here, divide by 0 exception. This is, my program is now not crashing, it's not giving me an unexpected result, but rather I'm able to handle it. I can do anything in response to this particular problem by writing the code here. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be safe.